onto my desktop. And here's our Droplets Photoshop document right here, which I'll open up. And you'll see that our layers from Illustrator have been exported into this Photoshop document. Now what's happened is it's caused our Droplets layer to be dropped into a group. So I'm going to pull that out of a group and get rid of that group folder and just rename this Droplets. Now the first thing I need to do is just so we can see what we're doing, I'm going to switch off my top two layers. With my Droplets layer selected, I'm going to change the layer style to Overlay. I might zoom in a little closer so I can see what I'm doing. The next thing we need to do with our Droplets layer is come up to Layer, Layer Style, and select Drop Shadow. And we'll untick Use Global Light. We'll change our angle to about roughly about 140 with an opacity of 75 and a distance of 10 pixels, spread of 0 and a size of 5. Next we need an inner shadow. So I'll select my inner shadow. Once again I'll untick Use Global Light, have roughly the same radius angle of about 140. And these figures look pretty good. A distance of 5, choke of 0 and a size of 5. And we'll tick OK. Now I'll switch on my other two layers, my shine and my mask layer. With my mask layer selected, I'm going to make an alpha channel just of my mask layer. So what I'm going to do is, with it selected, I'll come up to Image, Calculations, and under Source 1 I'll make sure the layer which is selected is mask, and also for Source 2 layer, the mask layer is also selected. My channel for Source 1 is going to be grey, and that looks pretty good, so I'll click OK. And if I come into my channels palette, here's my new alpha channel. I'm going to command click on this alpha channel, back into my layers palette, and with my shine layer selected, I can switch off my mask layer. I'm going to click Add Layer Mask. And now we have a bit of a shine effect with the gradient disappearing as it veers off to the right. But it's still not quite right. The shine's still a little intense. And the way to combat this excessive shine is to make sure we have our mask selected on our shine layer and bring up our levels. Command L, and I'll grab the black point here and drag it to the right. Perhaps to about there. And I'll drag my white point into the left, just to exaggerate this shine effect. That looks pretty good. And I'll click OK. And so here is our raindrop effect. So if I pan out Command 0, so we can get a bit of a look at what we're doing here. And let's see how our new raindrops sit on this old layer of mine, on this old Photoshop. So we don't need our mask layer anymore. I'm going to group what we do need, so I'm going to create a new group sitting above the shine layer. Select my shine layer and the Droplets layer, and I'm just going to drag them into this group one here, which I'm going to rename Droplets. Back into my my Photoshop, and I'm going to switch off what we don't need. My streaks layer, my group layer, back into my Droplets Photoshop document, and I'm going to, with my move tool, V for my move tool, I'm going to click and drag this onto my old Photoshop. See what the result is. Command T, and I'll just shift click and drag in to see what the overall effect, see what's happening. And that's not looking too bad. I'm going to zoom in on one of these close up. Now you'll see that the reason why we had the gradient on the Droplets layer in the Photoshop document and clicked overlay, you couldn't see it when it was on that uniform blue color. However, now that it's on this document, you can see that what's happened, because we've had it on overlay, is that that light area in our Photoshop document has given us this lovely realistic highlight here on the right hand side. And of course, if you don't like the look of the actual shadow, and I'm not really liking it that much at the moment, so I might just double click on my drop shadow, and I might just bring the size down perhaps to about 2, because the shadow was looking a little too blurry, and I'll click OK. Now all there is to do now is to duplicate this pattern onto the other parts of the body. Holding down my Option key, I'm going to click and drag onto these other parts of the body, just like this. I'm doing a very rough job here, and I need to brush away what I don't need. So above my top droplets copy right here, droplets copy 8, I'm going to create a new layer, drop all my droplets into this new group, which I'll rename droplets pattern. So all there is to do now is to paint away what we don't need. So with my droplets pattern layer selected right here, I'm going to click add layer mask, and with a nice soft brush with a hardness of 0% and opacity of 100%, and with black as my foreground color, I'm going to paint these drops away which I don't need. Now you're probably not going to be able to see these drops which are hidden in the shadows. So I'm going to reduce my opacity down. I'll hit the 3 key to bring my brush opacity down to 30%, and I'll just brush over those areas which are in shadow. Just like this. So you get the picture. It's a fairly rough job, but you'll see what I mean. And so that is how I end up creating this water texture. So I hope you like this tutorial, and stay tuned for some more in the future.